and welcome to a bonus video celebrating that I have reached 500 subscribers! Woo! Yay! That may not seem like a lot to you guys, but for me, that's really big. And basically this video, if you haven't guessed from the title already, it is my top 30 favorite characters of One Piece. I am doing this because one, it's fun, two, someone asked me to do it a long time ago, and I actually planned to do this 2 weeks ago, but then I got ill, you kind of all know that. So it works well with this kind of special. Also, just before I get started, this is of course my opinion, so these are the characters that appeal more to me. Also, I found it really hard to pick 30 characters. Like I have a set top 10, and then I had to pick like the 20 other people, and I just wrote down a list of all the people I like in One Piece, and I had like the candidates were like over 50 characters, so I just had to like pick all my favorites, and that was really hard. So if your favorite character somehow didn't make the list, it's probably not because I hate them, it's just because there are 30 people I like a little bit more or something. Also, like there isn't really that big of a difference between my number 30 and my number 20, probably, like. But yeah, let's just get into it because I don't want to make this like a 17-hour long video, so I won't actually talk too much about each character, but just a little bit, just to tell you why I love this character. So let's get into it. On my number 30 spot, we have a person I have been talking about a lot, and that is Blackbeard. I'm not gonna go too into why I like his character a lot because I made 2 videos about this, or like 1 discussion video, but I just like his character because he is a really good villain. I think the way he's been set up is really great, and I just like the aspect of him being really powerful, yes, yet the power scale of him is really unknown, and he seems like a cunning guy, yet at the same time power hungry. Like, he's a perfect villain with a twist, I feel like. I really like him, and I'm always excited to learn more about him, and it's like every time we just hear his name, we're like, oh, Blackbeard was mentioned, ooh! So yeah, that's why he's my number 30. 29, I have Mihawk. Mihawk for me is just the definition of cool. He is so fucking amazing. Like, from the first time we just hear Zoro talking about him, like, he is Zoro's goal to beat this guy, become the best swordsman in the world. Mihawk is just so great. And then, like, what really takes his character for me to a whole new level is when, all his moments in Marineford when he's, like, thinking about Luffy, how, like, his perspective on the world, I feel like, is really great, and his relationship with Shanks, how he trained Zoro for 2 years and taught him a lot of things. Like, this is a guy who wants to surpass Mihawk, and he just decided, well, I'm impressed by your loyalty to your captain, I'm impressed by your skills, I'm impressed by, like, what you stand for, I will teach you. I think that is so amazing, and Mihawk wins Best Daddy of the Year. Right, on my number 28, and please don't be mad that this character is so far down the list because I do like this character, but I have Sabo on here. And Sabo, like, the fandom loves him, like, what the hell. I think he is a really great character, and I am a big fan of like the kind of character who comes from a noble family or a royal family and then decides that this family is proper shit, and then leaves and then goes against them. Like, Sabo went from a proper noble to a revolutionary. Like, I love, like, characters like that, and it's like, it's a cliche, but it's a cliche that I really like. And I just also like how Sabo is just, he didn't go from being like a snotty royal noble to being like a hateful revolutionary who's just out for revenge. He's like still a cinnamon bun, but a cinnamon bun who could kill you. I really like him, and he's a really dark guy, and his relationship with Koala, his relationship with Luffy is really great. And one of my favorite moments from Dressrosa is actually when we have the flashback of Sabo finally regaining his memories when Ace died. I thought that was such a powerful moment. So yeah. And that leads me perfectly into my number 27, yeah. Number 27 is Ace. I really like Ace. He is such a cutie, and everything about his character for me is just so tragic, because all he ever wanted in life was to be accepted, and that's like everything he's done was just to get like that acceptance and have people who love him and accept that they love him, because from the moment he was like able to think properly, he's always been of the mindset that his blood was cursed and everybody automatically hated him. And even if they did like him, as soon as he told them that he was Roger's son, he would be instantly hated because Roger was such a hateful guy, I guess. And just like his final moments of like thank you, that's just what his character is for me. His death was so tragic. I think that what also one of the things that always makes his death really impactful is not, of course, it's not always, or it's not just Luffy's reaction to it, but it's also just the fact that this person is he's like such a good person, and there was no way for him to ever become anything but a criminal or a pirate because the entire world just hates him, and all he ever wanted to do was find this family and find these people who loved him, and that's what he got in his final moments, because all these people who loved him came to save him, started a war over him, and he must have felt so validated. And even though he like hated the fact that all of his friends were dying around him, it must have been so impactful for him. And I just think his character is really great in that aspect. Number 26, I have Enel. I really like Enel. He is one of the villains who I just like, I hate everything about him. Like, I love his character, but I hate everything about it. With most of all of the other villains, like Lucci, Crocodile, Doflamingo, I can find somewhere in my heart to either sympathize with them or just find them really cool. Enel for me is just the worst guy ever because he is so selfish. He's just the worst, but like he destroys just for the sheer pleasure of destroying it. Like there's no point in the destruction. At the very least, I feel like Doflamingo and Crocodile, they had like some kind of meaning with their destruction, but Enel literally said, well, now that I'm no longer god of this island because I'm going to the fucking moon, I will just destroy everything, just for the sake of it. I thought that was amazing because that depicts that like we have so many different kinds of villains, like just between people like Enel, Bucky, and Crocodile. Those are three completely different kinds of villains, and I just think it's so great that Oda has been able to somehow make so many diverse antagonists for our main characters, because it would be pretty boring if every villain was just the same, like they come to an island and then you have a villain who wants to murder them or something. So I really love Enel, and then of course his Devil Fruit is just really... His Devil Fruit is amazing, and his fight with Luffy is one of my favorite fights. My number 25, another antagonist, but in a completely different category than Enel. I have Kaku, Mr. Square Nose. I find Kaku such a fun and dynamic character. Like, from the moment we first met him, where he's just like, the first thing we think is just like, okay, this is Square Usopp, and he's funny and we think he's a good guy, and then he turns out to be a member of the CP9, and then he gets this weird dog aura around him, but he's still kind of like funny and lively, and then he eats the goddamn giraffe fruit and everything just like it gets humorous, and then his fight with Zoro, and then like in his final moments, or it sounds like he died, but like when he just admitted defeat to Zoro, I thought that was so wonderful. I just think that of all the CP9 members, he was like the most honorable of them, because they were supposed to be the good guys, right? Yeah, Kaku for me is, I'll spoil this here, he's the only CP9 member I have on my list, and because he's my favorite, and I just think that he's really great, and everything giraffe related has never been the same since this. My 24th character is Okichi. Okichi is cool as hell, pun intended. He is such a cool guy because not only is he powerful, we kind of know where he stands, like the lazy justice is just the best motto ever, but he's also just so mysterious because we know that he has strong feelings towards Akainu being the head of the Marines, because just the fact that Okichi was willingly going against him when his motto is lazy justice just speaks levels of how much he feels against this, and how like he must have a very strong sense of justice, because there is always a reason that you are a Marine, and that I feel like when you get to Admiral level, you just don't get there just because you have powerful Devil, but because you have some kind of cause as well. And he must be like in my mind at least, he must have some really strong sense of justice, and because Akainu went so much against that form of justice, he ended up completely like first going against him, then losing, and then just leaving the Marines completely because he couldn't stand that. And then we have the whole deal with him joining Blackbeard and being his ally, which I do think is like a cover for something else. But yeah, I just really like Okichi. Now to my number 23. Yeah, 23rd character on this list. This character, if you've been following my anime, One Piece anime videos, you'll know how much I like this character, and that is Wanda. I love Wanda. She is my favorite mink. Spoiled that I have no other minks on this list. But she's my favorite, and she is basically everything that I have been wanting in a female character for a very long time. She is the proof that Oda can make female characters who are not only those like emotional characters who cry and like have deep connections with people, but she can also kick ass. She is amazing, and the way that I'm gonna say she fits very well in with the Straw Hats, like not Wanda for Straw Hat or anything, but I feel like she has a great dynamic with them, and of course her relationship with Nami is very, very sweet and lovely, and I would really love to be in her shoes whenever she licks her. And I just really, really like Nami because she is just the best. Spot number 22 goes to Shanks. Everybody knows how badass and amazing Shanks is, so let's just like not talk too much about him, but just the fact that he is a regular sized dude with one arm and no devil fruit power, and he is a Yonko against everything else that we know about the other three Yonkos. Badass as hell. And then of course his relationship with Luffy is just the sweetest thing, and one of the most iconic, and probably hopefully a lot of people's like one of their favorite moments is Shanks giving the hat to Luffy, because that's just it. Like, number 21 goes to Mr. 2, Bon Clay. Oh my god, my love for this character is just, wow. Bon Clay is such a fun character, and the way that we get introduced to him and how this character just keeps coming back in the most unpredicted moments. Like, there is, of course, when we meet Bon for the first time and we get to see the devil fruit of just like changing into other people, and then we found out, oh crap, Bon Clay is actually part of the of Baraka Works, and then the fight with Sanji, and then in the end of Alabasta when Bon Clay and his crew, they are taken to Impel Down because they decided to impersonate the Straw Hats and then let them leave Alabasta, and then coming back in Impel Down and again sacrificing himself for Luffy. I just Bon Clay, man. Number 20 is Rayleigh. I fucking love Rayleigh. I think he is the one of my like of all time favorite master teacher roles, because there is so much deep history with him in like the lore of One Piece, and he's just like, he's so like, just the way he's introduced with he's a gambler, he just like the coatings of these ships, and he just goes around and like he's with girls, and like just the introduction. Then you get, yeah, he's of course also the vice captain of the Roger Pirates. I love him so much, and on top of that I just think he's a very tragic character, because I feel like his life, like, we don't know much about him, but for me, like, he's a person whose life really made sense when he joined Roger, as kind of it is for the Straw Hats when they joined Luffy, and then the fact that he had to watch, or he didn't watch, but he had to live through the fact that his captain died, and then just live on after that, just like seeing the after image of what Roger created, and then like 22 years after his captain's death, he then meets Luffy, who wears the same straw hat, and who's just like, Rayleigh, man. I think he's so tragic. Number 19, Evanka. I think Evanka is great. I think Evanka breaks a lot of stereotypes, and I think that Evanka was just such a great creation for Oda to make, because I think Evanka is such a great social commentary, and like the perfect moment is when we are in level 5.5 and you have this dude who comes in and just he has this big ass cannon, points it at Eva-chan and just goes, "You made my father a woman, how dare you?" And then Ivanka just comes, make him a woman, and it's just like, so what if your father's a woman? Get over it, just leave. Perfect. Number 18, I have Doflamingo. Just like, it's not been too long since Dressrosa ended, but I think we can all agree that Doflamingo was really like what made this arc, because he's such a phenomenal villain. He's a cunning piece of shit. He's the character who went from being a proper, like, he was a celestial dragon, and then he just, like, because of his father, he just went from this to this. And that made him the worst possible shit ever, because he just got so hateful. And he's just great. Number 17, I have Bartolomeo. Basically, he is every One Piece fan in the One Piece world. When I first, when we got his character, like his actual character, him being the fanboy that he is, I was so happy reading that, because I was just like, yes, Oda, this is how to put us into the One Piece universe. You did it right. Bartolomeo is awesome as hell. Number 16, I have Caesar Clown. I fucking love Caesar, because he is not only an awful person, like he is the definition of a mad scientist, but he is also such a fun character. Because I just feel like the more you get into his character, and it's just not like, it's not even over a long time, it's just like from Punkcaster alone, the more you get into his character, the more ridiculous he gets. And like, his voice actor does such a good job with that as well, because he's so much fun. And it's like we are always reminded of the fact that he's actually an awful person, despite the fact that he's just the center of so many gags. And I just love how he's still relevant in the storyline, because he went from being like the antagonist in Punkcaster, and he was kind of like a joke, and then he was used as a hostage in Dressrosa, and then they had to take him out because they could no longer use him for the purpose they needed him to. Then and so he neutralized the gas that he had made, because he's an awful person. And then further into Whole Cake Island, he's still relevant because he had dealings with Big Mom, and I think he's so fun because he has so many weird connections, and no matter where he goes, someone will hate him, and I just think that's really funny. Staying on the topic of fun antagonists, my number 15 goes to Bucky. Oh my god, do I like Bucky. And just the fact that he's like he's like the third villain of the series after Alvida and Captain Morgan. He's the third to be an actual villain. And the fact that he is still relevant to the storyline, and how all his failures just makes him more popular, makes him more powerful, he stumbles his way upwards. I just think that is such a fun concept. And Bucky is such a charismatic person in his own weird clowny way. And I swear to god, a lot of people give the anime hate for Impel Down, but I think that the fact that Bucky is there just makes the anime so much more bearable, because in the manga, Impel Down is very fast paced. In the anime, not so much, but Bucky being there is everything. Number 14 is Scarp. I love Garp. I say this for every character, but Garp for me is just such a fun grandpa, because I mean, he's a marine, yet his kind of justice is very vague. Like, I feel like he's just willing to accept that minor criminals, the ones who don't really have an evil impact on the world, because he had this really fun relationship with Roger. He took Roger's son, let him, even though he wanted him to become a marine, he let him be raised by mountain bandits. And then there's Luffy, like, he's still mad at Luffy for not becoming a marine, but then again he's like, I just think Garp is really funny, and I'm excited to learn more about him, as like I want to know his history with Dragon, because I just find it so funny that Garp is a vice admiral and then his son somehow became the leader of a revolutionary army. I think that's so fun, and how I just want to know what motivates Garp, and I think he's so interesting, and how, again, he's just one of these characters who he doesn't have all that much screen time, but I feel like everyone loves him, and there's still so much to be revealed about him, and I just and oh my god, his Marineford, that was such a good arc for him, because we have like his internal conflict of just being on the Marine side, yet he loves Ace. And then when Akainu kills Ace, you can just, the anger is there, and Sengoku has to go and stop him from just obliterating Akainu, like Garp. Number 13, I have Jinbei. Jinbei is amazing, and I am so glad, like, the way he was introduced as well, because when we saw him for the first time, he was locked up in Impel Down, but also before that we've had a lot of references to him, like I think we hear about him for the first time in Arlong Park, where Arlong talks about him, and then there's his entire history with Fisher Tiger and Arlong, and there's the whole thing with Fishman Island, and there's his relationship with Ace, and how he came to like Luffy, and there's of course the whole thing where he pulls Luffy out of the darkness after Ace's death, and just his loyalty to Luffy. I feel that's really nice to have, because he's not yet a Straw Hat. Like, there's debate of whether or not he'll become a Straw Hat, and a lot of people are against it, as was I, until I forced myself to not be against it. But whether or not he becomes a Straw Hat, I would love for him to become an ally. But yeah. But I just really like Jinbei, and he's just such a big Luffy fanboy. Number 12, I have Crocodile. If you watch my One Piece tag, you'll know that Crocodile is my favorite villain. I thought that Barracu Works was like the perfect villain organization. Maybe not perfect, but I thought that was a really fun way to do villain organizations, and the way it just worked. And I don't know, Crocodile for me is just, again, such a fun character, because he starts off almost like the basic mafia gang leader villain, but then the more you get into his character, the more there is to learn, and we still don't know what his like history with Evanka is, and just what the hell he's up to now that he's been freed, because, and just in general how his relationship with Luffy is so weird, because they are obviously enemies, and the reason that they work together in Impel Down is to escape, because they know that their chance of escape is so low that they need to work together, yet he still saves Luffy's life in Marineford when he's knocked out after Ace dies. Like, he still saves Luffy's life, and he also saves Ace's life, like the first time or the second time, where it's the first time where the executioners try to cut off his head. Like, he saves Ace there as well. Just cool. Very cool. I really like his character. This kind of ties in with Crocodile, because my number 11 favorite character is Vivi. I was actually not a big fan of Vivi when I first read through the series, but upon having reread it and just having rewatched Alabasta so many times, Vivi is such a badass female character. I think that she is... Having had Vivi is one of the reasons why I hate Rebecca so much, because you have... Yeah, I'm not gonna go into why I hate Rebecca, but like, Vivi is just the epiphany of a badass princess. And I just think that she is so awesome, because yeah, she's awesome and badass, and she infiltrated fucking Barracu Works. Like, she did that at 14. I think we sometimes remember that she's 16 years old, and that she's been living her life pretty much in luxury. I mean, she's still like, her family, or just like her father at the very least, like, they aren't that nobles or royals with like a stick up their ass. They are very kind, and they care for the people, but still, she hasn't been living like as a poor girl. And I just think that how she turned out to be, and how she at 14 decided, there's this organization who's just destroying our country, I need to infiltrate them, I'm gonna take one of my servants with me, and that's gonna be it, and then we'll see what we can do from there. I just think she's really very awesome, and I'm really glad that we're gonna see more about her, like, We'll probably see more of her after Whole Cake Island, because I have a weird feeling that what we'll see of like the Reverie and these characters is something that's gonna be between arcs, and then when it happens we'll just have it dumped in at this happened at the Reverie, something big happened. But yeah, I really like Vivi. Now into my top 10, which I said in the beginning is kind of set for me. And you might have guessed 9 of the characters on this list. But let me get into it. My number 10 is Dadan. I think that she is the best mom of the series. And I know a lot of people are gonna say, oh, Bellemere, she's the best mom. I get you, but I like Dadan better. And this is my favorite. Like, Bellemere, yeah, she's cool as hell, and she's like feminist leader and shit, but I really, really like Dadan because I don't even know how to describe why I love her so much. I just feel like she's a fun character, and she's kind of like, she was put in charge of these 1, 2, 3 kids, and she didn't want them, yet by the end, like, the more she spent time with them, the more attached she got to them, and damn, and her exchange with Garb after Ace's death was the most heartbreaking thing. The 2 most powerful moments of like the war and the post-war stuff for me was Luffy's line of I can't become the Pirate King, and then that moment, because Dadan just conveyed so many emotions and conveyed just how painful this whole ordeal was for Luffy. And I just love her. For the next 9 characters, you might first be able to guess every single one of these characters, maybe not in order, but you have already guessed that these 9 characters are the Straw Hats, right? Because we all know and love the Straw Hats so much, I'm not gonna say too much about them because I know that this video is probably already over the half an hour mark, so I'm just gonna go quickly through them and just like say 1 or 2 things about why I love these characters. Okay, so on my number 9 I have Frankie. Frankie for me is the character who, when he joined the Straw Hats, he changed the dynamics, and the Straw Hats went from being 7 really weird and out of like, yeah, 7 weird friends, and when Frankie joined, they became a family. I think that the dynamic that Frankie brought to the crew was so unique, and it was so heartfelt, and of course it also had a lot to do with the events at Enies Lobby and Water 7, but I just feel like because Frankie really took on that father role kind of on the ship, and I just really like what he brings to the crew dynamics. On my number 8 I have Chopper, and one of the reasons that I love Chopper as much as I do is simply because in many shonen series especially, and also some other genres, but especially shonen series, there's always that one mascot character. And the reason that I love Chopper so much is because he can easily be mistaken for this mascot character, but he just goes so far beyond that. He has a sad backstory, he has so much character development, the way that his morals and personality is shown is so unique, and just everything about him just being like the ship's doctor, and his morals when it comes to, I'm gonna say health because I don't really have a better word for it, but I just find that whenever he goes doctor mode, everything becomes so serious and you just see the passion in his eyes, and I just really like that. And then of course the inner like conflicts he's had with being perceived as a monster and then just wanting to be perceived as a person and then just going to become a monster for Luffy's sake. Perfect. My number 7 favorite character is someone who I think after this arc might actually overtake my number 6 person, and that is Brooke. And the reason that I think that Brooke might climb the list a little bit is because this arc, as much as it is Sanji's arc, it is an arc where we're gonna get a lot of exposition of Brooke's character especially. If you follow my anime One Piece videos, you'll know that I am a big fan of Brooke, just like how the way he fights and stuff like that. And because that he joined the crew and not long after that they were separated and he's not really had the time to shine in the new world, I feel like of all the characters in the Straw Hat, he's probably the one that we need to explore the most because we've had so little time with him. And like apart from all of that, because that just kind of makes his character intriguing, he's just a lot of fun. He's a musician, the character, a role that Luffy has been wanting to be fulfilled for a long time. And he, again, with Frankie, he brings a really fun dynamic to the crew, and he's like the old grandpa who's lived through so much, and he has like this weird, twisted kind of wisdom that he applies to everything, and I think that's really cool. My sixth favorite character is Robin. And I think because a lot of people really like her character, I'm not gonna say too much about her, but one of my favorite things about her character is basically just like her character development and how she went from being really insecure and suicidal to stop being suicidal but still kind of insecure, and then to the moment where we are now, where she's just so comfortable with the fact that she knows that she has friends who will do everything for her, and that was something that she was unaware of, and she never really trusted that she'd find people like that, and now she's so comfortable with that idea of having people who love her. So yeah, I like Robin. My fifth favorite character is Nami. She is my favorite female character in all of One Piece, and if you again follow my One Piece anime videos, you will know that I don't stop fangirling over her. And to sum down why I like Nami's character so much, it's basically just because she feels so human. For me, Nami is, like, yes, she's my favorite character, but she's also, for me, personally, because I know people will disagree with me on this, the best written female character. Because she does not feel like a woman or a tragic character. Like, Robin feels like the tragic character you have, and then you have like a person like Vivi who's like the badass woman, but Nami is just human. She's a badass human with intelligence and emotions and just everything, and on top of that, she is also, again from my perspective, the most beautiful girl in One Piece. Just saying. On my number 4, and this is not really my number 4, I think this is more like, these two characters that I have on my number 3 and my number 4 are usually what, like, tied for number 3, and the one that I kind of choose as my number 3 depends on my mood and kind of like what arc we're in and what they did in that arc and stuff like that, which just means that this could literally change tomorrow. Now, these characters are actually not in this arc, so maybe not tomorrow, but like, you know. But my number 4 at the moment is Zoro. And Zoro for me is the badass of the series. Luffy is badass as well, Sanji is badass as well, all the other characters are badass as well, but they all have like another trait that makes them more of what they are. For me, Zoro's main trait is being a badass. And I just love him a lot. And besides being a badass, one of the things that I love Zoro for the most is his loyalty and relationship with Luffy. I think that he is the perfect right-hand man for him. A lot of people don't like calling him vice captain or like the first mate. Like, he is the first mate. He literally the first one to join the crew. But the way that he always supports Luffy and always respects Luffy's opinions and stuff and always sets him straight when he needs to be set straight, I think that is very, very beautiful. And like, one of my favorite moments in One Piece is Zoro's sacrifice on Thriller Bark. My third favorite character in One Piece is Usopp. Oh my god, do I love Usopp. He is, I said Nami was just like, she felt so human. Usopp is that character as well. Usopp is usually like our voice on the crew because he's literally like a human being. He's not too much of a superhuman, yet he still kind of is. I will fight people on this, but I actually think that when it comes down to pure talent of what each of these characters do, I think Usopp is the most talented at his like craft. The others are very skilled as well and might even be more skilled at what they do than what Usopp is like at his at sniping. But I think that from pure talent alone, Usopp is like number 1. And while that doesn't really explain why he's my third favorite character, I just think that that goes to show that you don't need these weird superhuman strength things that like Zoro has or Sanji has, but you can have this talent and then you can just bring so much from it. Because yes, Usopp is talented, as I just said that I think he is, but he's taking it so much further with just wit and creativity, and I think he's really amazing, and he just shows that hard work gets you somewhere. And that even though you don't start at the same level as other strong people, you can still get to compete at that stage with like determination and hard work. My second favorite character is Sanji. Oh boy, do I love Sanji. I don't think it's a secret at this point in time that I love Sanji a lot. And I'm very happy about this year's Sanji that we are having. And I don't fully understand exactly why Sanji is so far up on my favorite list, and like at the moment he's just almost overtaking my number one favorite character, which is like scary because my number one has always been my number one. But Sanji is just such a self-sacrificing person, and I don't think that that's something that a lot of people think about. But I just think that Sanji is so nice, so self-sacrificing, so like his entire thing is making other people happy, and like I love how every bad experience that he has had has led him to become a kinder person. Because usually it's the thing with bad experiences and like shit experiences is that they make you stronger or they break you. But for Sanji, it just made him kind. And I love that. I just think Sanji is such a lovely character. And you must, like, the thing is, a lot of people, like, before we had this year of Sanji, were very disappointed in his character because he was basically the butt of all the gags and all the jokes. But personally, I think that having had Sanji have this role throughout the New World just makes this arc that much more impactful. I think it has been somewhat intentional for Oda. He maybe took a little too far sometimes, but I think it's been intentional for Oda to not have Sanji do as much as he could have and always pin him against opponents who are either so weak that they wouldn't even stand a chance even if Sanji was like bundled up and like and just completely incapable of fighting, or against people so strong that it's kind of ridiculous. Like the only two like proper opponents he's had have been Virgo, who it took the team up of Smoker and Law to beat, and then Doflamingo, who was of course Luffy's enemy. So I really like this arc because Sanji, and I just think Sanji is a really kind person, and he's another one of those characters I just think feels so human. I said once in one of my reviews that I would be really sad if Sanji turned out to be like a modified human. And then we got kind of the reveal that his siblings were, and then we got the reveal that even though his siblings were, Sanji was fully human. I have no words to describe how happy that made me. My favorite character in One Piece is like obvious at this point. I have also said it in videos. My favorite character is Luffy. And I'm not gonna say anything about why he's my favorite character because that should be obvious to all of you. But Luffy is my favorite character. He's always been my favorite character. And unless like Sanji's character development is just through the roof in this arc and Luffy's character just kind of, yeah, I don't know, just doesn't do as much as I expect that he will do in this arc. Sanji might go and overtake him, but I don't think so. Luffy just really holds that special place in my heart, and I love him, and I am so glad that he is the main character. I know that this video was much longer than I intended for it to be, and I'm really sorry about that. And I might have to edit a lot of the things that I said out just so that this doesn't become a 1 hour video. But I had a lot of fun talking about the characters that I really like, and I will encourage you to leave a couple characters that you like in the comment section below. characters you think either are underappreciated or characters you just really like, and you can like either just tell me or just like give a reason for why you like them so much. I mean, I'll probably be able to understand why, but sometimes people have special connection with characters, and I'd like to know yours because there might have been a character who could sneak in my top 30 if you just like praise them enough, I guess. Also, if anyone is offended that I did not put like Law, Smoker, Kid, Bonnie, any other supernova on this list, please don't be offended. Just don't. But yeah, I'm just gonna round up this video here. It was a lot of fun to make. I hope you enjoyed watching it. But yeah, if this is somehow the first video you've seen of mine, I'm a reviewer. You might have been able to guess from my name, but I usually do reviews of One Piece, obviously, Shokugeki no Soma, Haikyuu, Boku no Hero Academia, and I do weekly videos on One Piece the anime and Haikyuu the anime. So if you're into those, you can subscribe. And until next time, guys, bye!